Hey everyone, welcome to this Quick Start Basics class. This is number 9 of the 10 core commitments. Attend all your company conventions. So we're very glad you're here. We are Bess McCarty, Coach for Network Marketers, also called the Shrink of MLM, and Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network. And we partner to bring you this generic class from our generic school, the MLM Millionaire Club School for Network Marketers. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower network marketers and create independent servant leaders who want to raise the bar in this profession. We are here every 9 p.m. Eastern Time, as you know, and we go over the lesson from different angles and different depths each time. And then at 90 minutes in, we turn off the recording and have open coaching session. At that time, we're also going to ask you what you liked best about this class. That helps us to know you and your values. So you may want to write down a takeaway that you could share with us then. Tonight our goal is to equip and empower and entertain and educate you on the basics of building your business. So this is based on the 10 core commitments that have been proven for decades to create success inside of network marketing and create top earners. So I want to welcome our newest members, Ashley Regal and Patrick Rodriguez, and also Jim Washaleski, if you're listening, Erica Tobias, and Zucardi, if you guys are listening to the replay or if you happen to be on tonight, welcome. First, want to let you know what's coming up this coming week. As you may know, every Monday through Friday, Jeff and I lead the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, and that's noon Eastern Time every weekday. And we cover one of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. So we follow this book. This is #1 leadership expert in the world, John Maxwell, and his #1 leadership book, which is the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. These have been so far-reaching and so profound for me to be studying and teaching and bringing examples of them. They really have changed me. And for every network marketer, they will help you to build your business. They will help you to apply what you're learning here in this class into your business, because the pinnacle of network marketing is leadership. And that's why we teach that. That is a free open class. Everybody can come to pop in. You can get a free ebook to follow along when you go to our MLM, to our Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So when you join that, you can get a free ebook there. And that's all cool. That's something you can bring people to, let people know about it, let your team know about it, and your friends and everybody, like some of our students and members have. Let people know about it. On Wednesday nights, we take a deep dive into leadership. This is an actual class within our school called MLM Leadership University. And what we do, this is an inner circle within this school, and some of those members of that smaller class are on the call tonight. And what we do is we dive deep into one book a month of John Maxwell's. Next month, August, is going to be Intentional Living. Intentional Living is going to be that book. This coming Wednesday is a special bonus class, being the 5th Wednesday of the month. But then August, we're going to jump right into Intentional Living. I know some of you have voted for that book, and I can't wait to get into it. Mine actually just arrived in the mail today, ordered it from Amazon. And this is an inner circle class. There is a special price for those who are members of this tonight's class, the Quick Start Basics. There is a special class for you, a special reduced rate for you for that class. I'll go ahead and mention it here. The rate, it's regularly $97 a month for the class, but since you're in this class, you will be eligible to be in the class for $72 a month. So just message me if you'd like that link, or it is in our Facebook group, our private Facebook group, the MLM Millionaire Club. You can find it there too in the posts, and I think in the link, the top announcement too. So that is really, really cool. That's my favorite thing that we do of all the classes that we teach. It just changes me every time, as some of the people on here will tell you too. Tuesday, 3 p.m. lives. Jeff and I also teach another class, a weekly And so this is the one coming up, excuse me, gotta sneeze, nope, not gonna sneeze, okay. The one coming up this Tuesday is, there it was. Okay, yeah, the one coming up Tuesday, this Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time is how to overcome procrastination, something that everybody, I think, deals with on some level. So we're going to be giving tips about that. And I do have a special class coming up that is actually outside the school, one that I'm going to be personally leading from my seat as a body-mind therapist. And my name that I've been dubbed is the Shrink of MLM. And this is going to be a class to clear your mindset, to clear blocks and fears that are in your way of your network marketing business. I call it the Real Conversations class. This is a trademark process that I developed and trademarked and have been teaching for 30 years now, how to help people clear their blocks to success really fast in 4 simple steps. The class itself is going to be a lesson on that process, and then some live processes that people actually do on the call, and then a mastermind afterward. It is confidential, will not be recorded. It can be anonymous if you want. It's a really powerful class. I just can't wait to dive into it, but I've been facilitating this for 30 years. You could private message me about that and get you information. Just to introduce Jeff and me a little bit. Jeff has been in direct sales and network marketing for over 24 years. He's personally sponsored over 500 people frontline and has built teams to over 11,000 in 7 countries in 3 years. He's done over 10,000 presentations. From this, from his experience in real estate and this, he has developed that Favor Script method and the 10-minute presentation method that we teach. You can find this in every email that I send out and also in the first announcement on our Facebook group. You can, that's a summary of how to do this, but we do teach it as part of the 10 core commitments. I am a body-mind therapist and holistic health practitioner for 35 years, also was full-time network marketer until my company went out of business, and I realized I'm going to, be a therapist and bring this back to network marketers. So I'm a dedicated generic coach, not in a company anymore, and I'm just dedicated totally to generic teaching and, doing the mindset work as I spoke about. So the 10 core commitments, I'm going to just let you know what those are real quick as an overview. The 10 foundations is number 1, getting started right. Number 2, be here a year from now. That's about commitment. Number 3, personal development. Number 4, market daily. Number 5, present daily. Number 6, attend a weekly presentation. Number 7, attend a weekly core training, which you're doing right now. Number 8, attend a monthly regional. Number 9, attend all company conventions. And number 10, have a massive monthly action plan. So that's about strategy. So tonight is the number 9, attend all company conventions. And the reason that we teach these and encourage you to get deeper each time with them is because repetition is the mother of success. And we go deeper each time we cover these from a different angle, new stories, new aspects. But there is a lot to learn with this, you guys. Decades of stuff to learn with this. And so that's why we encourage you to get out your paper and pen, be ready to take notes. Grab one thing that you can use and put into your business this week, which we'd love to hear that takeaway at the end. And we do have a certificate every time you complete 10. Every time that you're here on the call and you are with us, or that you watch the replay for this, it's just on your honor system, on your own tracking and monitoring. But every time you complete 10, please let us know, because we have a level certificate, certificate for each time you do. We have 10 certificates in all, taking you through this thing 10 times. Some of you are working on number 5 right now, so congratulations to you. And even after that, even if you've completed the 10, you're going to get new stuff and you're going to grow deeper as a network marketer and eventually be able to teach this to your team. Or come on here and teach with us. So listen carefully, absorb, let us know when you have completed the certification levels, and again, when this is done, what we're going to do is turn off the recording at the 90 minutes in, and then hear from you. your takeaways, but also your questions, your tips, and that's when we have open coaching. And sometimes the very best parts happen during that. So we encourage you to be on live when you can and to enjoy that part too. And over now to Jeff.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Everybody else is muted out, so I appreciate it, guys, for jumping on here. What we're going to do is go over basically a couple things. You know, why conventions? How do you get people to conventions? The first trick is you have to go yourself and pretty much understand why. I always find it to be funny or somewhat, I guess, ironic that people will tell me when I sit down with them that their number one thing they want to do is travel and see the world. And then they turn around and tell me they can't go to the convention because they can't travel. You know, so the way out is basically getting enough people in. So that's really the trick to this. The way out is to get enough people in. And what you need to do is you have to increase your belief and increase your energy and increase your influence. Now, how do you increase those things? Because that's a really good question, because people are like, well, how exactly do I do that? How would I bring people on? And the number one thing is you have to be going. If you're not going, it's probably not possible to get other people to go. And people go, well, I'll go to the next one. And I was taught this very early on. The first one you miss is a cold. The second one is, you know, terminal. And the third one is you're done. That's pretty much how it works. I've seen very, very few to zero exceptions of people who miss events. Events is part of what goes on. You know, if we were in basketball, training, the boot camp, all the practices leading up, I mean, do you think on a professional level, now I think too many people look at this as kind of, you know, oh, I can do it whenever I want to, which is true. You do have the ability to do it whenever you want to, but what people forget is this is a business and people are actually watching you. And I think people forget two things, that it is a business and people are watching you. So people are watching for what belief you have in what you're doing to be able to join you. So if you aren't going, what you're basically telling them is I'm not serious. I'm not serious. No matter how much you tell people you're serious, no matter how many times you post online, no matter how many, you know, poster boards you write up with your dreams, no matter how many books you read, you are absolutely positively full of it if you think that you cannot show up and build the business and convince everybody else and or portray that you're committed to something you're not going to. It doesn't happen. I see people justify. I see people tell stories. I see people lie to themselves. I see people create all kinds of great reasons. But the reality is none of it works. The only thing that works is basically going. Now, there's a couple things you can do to set yourself up. The first thing is know when the next event is. If you don't know when the next event is, and here's the other thing, if you're waiting on somebody to tell you when the next event is, you're in trouble, right? You'd be in trouble if you're waiting on somebody to tell when the next event is, because that means you don't own a business. That means you're basically waiting on somebody else. You're an employee. That's what employees do. Employees wait for somebody to tell them what to do. Business owners go figure out what needs to be done ahead of time. You have to be proactive as a business owner, and that's one of the major differences I see between employees and business owners is employees wait around for somebody to tell them something. They wait around for instructions. They wait around because in a job situation, it's true you don't want to go out and do it yourself, because if you go out and think for yourself and go do something out of the order that maybe the boss or supervisor wants you to do, you can jeopardize your job and get fired, which is not good. They don't want you improvising. You have to wait on instructions. And that's also kind of programmed into you from a very early age. I mean, if you look at the school system, you know, they're like, don't open your book until, you're right? I mean, they kind of program you not to move forward until somebody gives you the exact instructions. In fact, in a lot of cases, they penalize you for moving ahead, thinking ahead. Don't read ahead. You have to stay on the chapter we're on. I used to hate that. Like, I would be like 4 or 5 chapters ahead reading about something interesting, rather than the garbage they were trying to teach us. I was wanting to look at different things, and they'd be like, follow orders, follow. So that was the number one thing I got in trouble for, is I didn't want to follow the instructions, and I didn't want to follow the path that they were giving me. I was like, there's probably more than one path here, and the path that you have is A, slow, and B, it's not getting us anywhere. So that was just me, you know, all the way through school. I used to argue with teachers, parents, principals, on and on and on. I actually did have a junior high, it was junior high, right? Yeah. Junior high principal said, well, I hope you just stay on this side of the law. That's what he said. He goes, you're a smart kid. Dangerously smart is what he said. He goes, you're dangerously smart, meaning I could figure my way out of things. He was trying to, there was a situation at school basically that I had locked my key inside of my locker. And it was the end of class, and I went to go open it, and I realized it was locked inside. And I went to the teacher and asked the teacher, I was like, look, I can figure this out. Basically, I need a coat hanger, and I'm going to use the coat hanger to go inside the locker because it was kind of threaded. And I'm going to use the coat hanger, go inside the locker, go inside my jacket, which I can see, inside the pocket in which I left my key. I'm going to hook my key and pull it out. And they wouldn't let me. So I'm like, okay, cool, send me the principal. Because I'm not getting dressed, and you're not cutting the lock off with pliers, because I like that lock. I didn't ask. I told them, you're not doing it. So he sent me to the principal's office. So I said, look, I know how to do this. I can get it out. I just need a coat hanger, which I know you guys have, and he goes, all right, I'll go down with you, and you got 5 minutes. If you can do it within 5 minutes, cool. If you can't do it within 5 minutes, I was like, okay, that seems right. It took me about 30 seconds, and I was able to reach in, grab my key, unlock it, and he goes, okay, you got 5 minutes to get to class, and then, you know, you'll be good. And that's when he said, he goes, you know, you're dangerously smart. I hope you just stay on this side of the law, which I did almost, you know, to anybody's knowledge. All the way up until the time I read that in that book, you know, I finally opened it to that page. I was like, you're kind of supposed to, you know, follow what your parents say and follow what instructions. I hadn't read that before, so forgive me. I didn't read that until I was like 19 and I was out of school, and actually direct sales actually introduced me to some of those contests or some of those concepts in the original 10 core that you're supposed to follow. So that was just kind of my weird beginning. But getting back to, you know, building a business, what to focus on. So a lot of people don't understand the path here. And it's levels of commitment. If you kind of look at it, there's a bunch of levels of commitment. The first level of commitment is you contact somebody, right? I contact somebody and will they listen? That's the first level of commitment. And the first level of influence. That'd be really good. What are the levels of influence? The first level of influence is you can get somebody to listen to you. That takes a lot nowadays. I mean, that right there is one of the harder parts nowadays, is just to get people's attention, to get people to listen. That's one of the first things you have to do. And if you can get somebody to listen, then you have to present the idea to them of whatever company you're in, whatever product you have, and you have to get the entire idea across to them. That's a trick nowadays to get people's attention. That's why we've actually shortened all the presentations. Any presentation that I work on, I try to shorten it down to where it's about 10 minutes. And the reason we want it to be about 10 minutes and no longer than 10 minutes, I already know. Okay, so if you want, you know, about 10 minutes, you want it 10 minutes because it used to be 30 minutes, and now that's too long because nobody's attention span is that can go that long. So you get it down to 10 minutes. That's the next level, is can you get the presentation to them? What's the next level? Nothing has to go in this direct order, but in the order that I would like it to go is from there, I would like them to look at some information, and I would also like third party to basically, watch this, confirm and validate everything I said. Confirm and validate. A lot of people don't understand what the purpose. A lot of people use the third-party call in the wrong way. I think it's used in the wrong way. I think a lot of people try to use it to slam people in. And what happens is if you convince people against their will, they're of the same opinion still. They'll still not do it. They just got convinced. They got pressured. And this is used a lot in used car sales, and people don't like it in used car sales. People don't like it in timeshare sales. Why the hell would they like it inside of network marketing? Why would you want to do that? So I don't use that. What I use the three-way call for is basically to confirm what's going on. So if Bess had introduced me to Jim, and I can just see Jim on film here, if Bess had introduced me to Jim, I'd be like, hey, Jim, how are you? How's your day? He's like, great, fantastic. I said, awesome. Bess actually connected the two of us. She said you looked at the program, which is fantastic, and I just want to ask, how do you know Bess? So the first thing that I want to know in a three-way call is, how do you know Bess? And the reason I want to know that information is because that tells me at what level of respect and or influence Bess has already with Jim. If they're like, oh my gosh, we've known each other for years, we've been friends, we grew up together, there is a huge level of trust there. If Jim says, I have no idea who she is, I met her in a restaurant, or I called some advertising, and that's how I met her. I don't know her. I was like, okay, so there's not a big level of influence there. That's important to know. A lot of people skip that question. How do you know this person? So after you get, how do you know this person, the next step up, or the next process in the three-way call after I get to know, I said, well, Jim, what do you do? And Jim gives me kind of his background. He's like, I've done these different things. Right now I work part-time and have a bee farm, and I just know some of this because I know Jim. And I live in Colorado. I was like, okay, great. Now that I know all that, what did you like best about the information that Bess shared with you in the 10-minute presentation? So what this does is this gives me, is Jim really liking more of the product line or service line that we market, or is Jim liking the business part, or he could say both. Those are kind of the three options. What did you like best about what Bess has shown you so far, or told you about so far? That gives me the gauge. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to confirm and validate whatever Jim says back to what Bess says. I say, okay, great. Bess probably told you the story of the company and, you know, its background, probably gave you a little bit of information of the need, the product that we market, and the compensation plan and kind of where we're at timing-wise. Let me share real quick. My background is, I'm from here, you know, I'm from Indianapolis. My background is I've been in real estate. I'm a naturopath. I kind of am a serial entrepreneur. I have a bunch of stuff that I do. And what I liked best about the program is this. And I'm going to relate and confirm exactly what Jim just kind of went over. If he said, hey, it's the product, I said, well, I like the product too because of this, this, and this. And if he says, well, I like the business, I was like, yeah, I like the idea of having, you know, residual income and building a team and, you know, having the ability to make more than what I'm making now and have the possibility of walking away. I'm going to confirm whatever he confirms. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, I mean, I know you've looked at some information, you've heard from me. Really the next step is the event. And here's the thing, whatever that event is, that event could be face-to-face, sit down. That event could be a live conference call like this or a Zoom. The next step could be a live open house. The next step could be a training. The next step could be a regional. And depending on the relationship, the next step could be a convention. It's really whatever's next, whatever the fastest, quickest, most convenient thing is for Jim to see the entire business again. Because what we're trying to do is, I look at it like this. If you were trying to convict someone of the opportunity, we need to provide as much information as possible in as many situations as possible to let Jim be convinced that this is a good thing. So it's kind of different levels. He's heard from one person, he likes it. He's heard from a second person, now we move him to the third time to hear or see about it. A video will do. You know, in between now and then, if he's excited, I said, hey, we're going to send you a video that confirms basically what Bess and I just talked about. I usually tell people, because I watch some of your videos, and I mean your videos, meaning the industry's videos. I watch our videos, and some of them suck. I'll be real honest, some of them are terrible, right? I mean, if you're in a company where your video is terrible, it's okay. As long as it provides all the information. So what I tell people is, hey, this video was done by corporate. This video, I said, have you ever watched a corporate video? I mean, sometimes they're like, really, guys? I said, well, I just want to let you know I'm going to send you one of those funny, cheesy corporate videos. And people actually laugh. But here's the thing, they're now interested. They're like, wow, this person's really honest. Like this is in your face. like weird, because most of the time they're like, and now, you know, have you ever talked to HR department, and, you know, it's like the lady from Monsters, Inc., Mr. Waskowski, you're in trouble. You know, the next thing you have to do, it sounds like a compliance thing. So I just tell people, hey, they had to do it based on this. So go watch the corporate video. Now, some of your videos are good. I'm making fun of some of the videos in the industry are corny and cheesy, and they say things that are ridiculous. But as long as you tell somebody that up front, what you do is you diffuse the situation so that way they don't think it's weird if you say it first. Just like if I know the guy who's speaking is corny, I'm like, oh my gosh, have you ever had one of those teachers in school that try to tell all those corny jokes and they're really not that funny? They're like, yeah, I'm like, this guy is that teacher from school. Or this lady is that teacher from school. I mean, they're corny jokes, they're fun, but this is like one of the most genuine people you could ever meet. So I'm always edifying, I'm always complimenting, and I'm always basically explaining what they're about to go see. So I get them a video. I also set them up. If I was in my market, I'm just saying, if I was in my market, I'd also invite them to the open house. The open house is until Thursday. That's kind of far off right now. So if I had shown them any information today, I want to meet them. Watch this. Guys, I don't care what business you're in, time is your enemy. I don't care what business you're in, time is your enemy. If you're in real estate, time is your enemy. If you're in the mortgage business, time is your enemy. If you're in the massage holistic business, time is your enemy. The longer it takes to get somebody in the door, the more things that can go wrong. Do it now, right now. So what I want to do is I want to move them from the three-way call to a video immediately. And when would I like to sit down with them? When would I like to do a video conference? Tomorrow. Hey, I really would like to introduce you. You know, if this situation again was Bess had introduced me to Jim because Bess had presented to Jim some information. She didn't. This is totally just a mock, fake scenario. But if she did, I would want Jim to see something right away. And what I would do is I would call up the chain of people and find somebody who's really, really good at doing a presentation live, and I would get him in front of that person as soon as possible, via the internet, via FaceTime, something. I mean, it could be a Facebook Live. I'd be like, hey, I'll call you and bring you on. It could be, you know, FaceTime on, you know, an iPhone. Whatever it is, it has to be live as fast as possible. If there was an open house in my market and it was an hour or so away, I would drive and meet Jim ahead of time and say, hey, Jim, you know, we might be able to meet out. If Jim was in Indiana and I was in Indiana and Bess is in Kansas, I would go meet Jim. Why? Because Jim's going to be part of my team. Even though Bess is going to recruit him, I'm going to treat Jim like he's my personal guy. Why? Because he's part of my team. I profit from that. It might not be I profit right this second, but I do profit from it. So let's say we meet, we show him the business. He's like, man, this looks great. This is, you know, I think I want to do this, but I still have some questions. No problem. I just wanted you to meet a live person. Now you know. I would try to bring somebody with me, somebody different, so Jim can meet another person. And our only goal in that sit down would be to move Jim from here, from this to what? To the live event. I would sell the live event more than I would sell anything else. Hey, we have a live event. Jim, you probably, after looking at all this, I mean, I'm sure you're probably having the question that everybody has. Everybody has this question, like, who's doing this, right? So what I'd like to do is just have you come out to the open house. That's where they kind of go through the entire, right now you've seen basically 80% of the presentation, but they're going to give some of the finite details. They'll go over the comp plan a little bit better. And, you know, it just so happens that we've got an expert coming in this week that's very successful with the company. And I'd bring him to the open house Thursday night. If he's like, man, this open house, at the end of the open house, I'll ask him the closing questions. The open house is where you can be forthright, you can be in somebody's face, you can be, what you want to do is you want to be assertive but not aggressive. Does that make sense? I'm okay asking the question, but I'm going to ask the question relaxed. I'm going to ask the question, look, we don't convince people to do this, but after you've seen all this, do you see an opportunity? And Jim, you know, I mean, most people, if they've heard about it on the phone, then they saw a video, then they maybe sat down face-to-face or got on a Zoom, and now they're here at an open house. If they don't see an opportunity, I would like to check their driver's license real quick just to see if they're a donor or if they're, you know, impaired in some way. Like, are you lost? Did you just need something to do on Thursday night? Like, at this point, I know he has to be interested, so I think that's a guarantee. Yeah, I see the opportunity. The next question is, can you afford to take advantage of it? You know, because at this point, they've gone over all the numbers. They know, you know what it costs to get started, you know, to get licensed, to get registered, whatever your case is in your business. You know what it costs to get the kit. You know what the product costs. You know, do you first of all, do you see the opportunity? Second of all, you know, can you afford to take advantage of it? The third question is, does it make sense to get started right now or on payday? And he's like, you know what? I could probably do it on payday. Cool, when's payday? Payday might be this Friday. Payday might be the following Friday. Do I care which it is? No. I don't care. I say, okay, great. What we can do is we can fill out the paperwork and hold on to it. Or if you happen to have a credit card, we can put it on the credit card now, and you can pay for it whenever. What I'm doing is I'm always giving options. You want to get really, really good in the business about giving options. Now, there's something called a leading question. A leading question is basically a question in which you give two options, but you're leading them in one direction. Like if I said, Jim, what makes more sense? Do you want to do this slow and painful, or do you want to do it fast and make a lot of money? That's a leading question. Because anybody that's like, nope, slow and painful. I like pain. I like it to be slow. I want to agonize here. Like, nobody would say that, right? Because people would say, well, I'd probably like to, you know, make it happen right away. I say, okay, great. You know, do you want to have a small launch and really not make any money? Or do you want to have a big launch and really get this going? Well, you know, the big launch kind of makes more sense. I say, okay, great. What we're going to do, and here's the funny thing, no matter which way he says, what I'm going to give him as instructions are identical. I'm just trying to gauge what his level of movement is. Is he somebody really ready to go, or is he very, very apprehensive? Because you'll get both on the team. You'll get both on the team. Somebody's like, you know what? I'm really not just somebody who jumps into this. I kind of want to give it. I said, great, no problem. What we're going to do is we'll just make a list of 10 people. Normally we have people make a list much bigger than that. The people who want to run faster, we have them make a list much bigger than that. I have them make the same damn list either way. It's always 10. I said, what we want to do is we just want to get it in front of 10 people very casually. All you're going to say, I'm going to give you exactly what to say, okay? So you don't even have to make up something or think about what to say. You're going to say, do me a favor. I started working on something outside of whatever Jim does, outside of his, you know, the honeybee business, outside of working part-time. I started working on something. I just want you to know about it. So if you run into the right person, you can refer them to us. And I took this from one of the other guys in the club. Dave Peters said, I'm just looking for referrals. You can add that in at the end. I'm just looking for referrals. So you're confirming what you just said. So don't think that I'm trying to pressure you. Don't think that I'm trying to sell this to you. I'm just looking for referrals. I want you to know what I'm doing. Now, at the same time, if you like it, that's fine. If you want to be involved, that's fine. But I just want to tell you about it so you can refer me. That's all I want from you. And I said, basically what I found is 10 out of 10 people will usually be like, all right, cool, no problem. Anybody who isn't okay with that, now, there are reasons why people will say, well, not right now, not right now. They may be going through a divorce, they may be going through custody, they may be going through sickness. I mean, there are some reasons why people can't give you the time right now to go over it. But somebody who's like, nah, I'm really not interested in hearing about anything you're doing, I would actually take my phone out. I was like, is this your name right here on the phone? Cool. And then I would scroll up and I'd delete their ass out of my phone. Like, I'd be like, I would ghost somebody in that situation. And ghosting means you're going to delete them from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the phone book, whatever. And, you know, if it's your mom, that's different. You know, but if it's just a casual acquaintance at work, see, a lot of times we hold on to completely fake relationships because we're scared that that's the only person that we talk to. We're scared. Well, what if I could never replace them? You know, what if they tell so-and-so and I lose all my friends? In a lot of cases, some of us would be better off to get a new group. I was like that. I was in a case, I would have been better off. And I was better off when I started doing this, and I was like, you know what? There are certain people that I spend an entire week with that I should spend one day. There are certain people I spend a day with that I should really spend an hour. There are certain people I spend an hour with that I really need to spend about 30 seconds with. And I started switching, and I kept shifting people through the friendship category. And what I realized is I had been reaching out to a bunch of people who never reached out to me. I had been giving gifts, I had been showing up, I had been doing things for a bunch of people who were not reciprocating. So you know what I did with that group? I actually do track this. Because I had to learn to track this because I'm like, I want to be around influential people. I want to be around people who are good people, who are moving in the right direction. Watch this. I found that if you're around a group of people who only think about themselves, you always are the one who reaches out, that's not a real friendship. You have an acquaintance. You have a convenient acquaintance that likes you because you make them feel important, but you don't have a friendship. A friendship is mutual. So I started learning these things building the business. I wasn't taught that in school. I wasn't taught that by my parents. I had to learn this through business. And, you know, the business not only taught me about business and about money, but it taught me a lot about people, and it taught me about real friendships, and it taught me about the people that I wanted to be around and hang out with. And I want to be around better people. I don't know who you guys want to be around, but I wanted to be around a higher caliber of people. Not necessarily somebody who graduated from the right school, not necessarily that came from a certain neighborhood, not necessarily somebody who had money, not necessarily somebody who spoke perfect, not necessarily somebody who looked perfect, but I at least wanted the inside to be good. That's what I was looking for. So back to building the business, Jim comes out to the open house, and he says, you know what, all this looks good, but I'm kind of a guy who I just need to feel it out. No problem. I said, do you want to know what the next step is? I said, you need to kind of see a bigger picture. I know that here in Indianapolis, we have an event on the 10th. Now, the reason I know that is because I keep track of what's going on in the state of Indiana and what's coming up. I'm obviously going to know what's going on in my own business. You have to know what's going on in your business. If you don't know what's going on in your business, call your upline, call corporate, look on the website. Somewhere, there'll be an event going on. And what you need to know is when that next event is, who's speaking at it, if they provide that information, because some companies do and some companies don't. You need to know when it is, where it is, and how much it is. So I know when it is. I know where it is. I know how much the tickets are. I already have tickets. So what I would do is then I'd pitch Jim. I'd say, hey, Jim, we have an event coming up that's actually on August 10th. You're welcome to come to the open house next week again, just kind of see this again. But if I could provide one thing, I happen to know the people coming in and speaking. I happen to know that this is their income, this is their background. So I have 4 or 5 points about the upcoming speaker. Again, I'm always providing information, and I'm always edifying, I'm always complimenting, and I'm always giving the truth. I said, man, the guys coming in, here's basically what they've done so far in the business. Here's their backgrounds. Now, I've seen them speak before. Truthfully, I have. I've seen these guys speak before, and they're awesome. You would learn a ton from this, and it just so happens, this is something I do. I would have an extra ticket. I have an extra ticket. Now, if you tell me you're coming, I'd be willing to gift this ticket to you. Are you serious? Are you serious, or are you just kind of playing games? No, I'm serious. Okay, great. Ticket's yours. Here's when it is. Here's the next event. I will try to provide information over the next week for Jim. And I'm also going to try to get to know Jim. I was like, Jim, have you been in direct sales before? You know, tell me about your background. Tell me about your past. I'm going to start asking more questions, like form-based questions, just trying to get to know Jim a little bit better. Because in general, if somebody sees it, somebody gets it, and somebody's hesitant, what I've found is a lot of times they've had something happen, or they've had something happen to somebody else, and that's the reason they're not ready to go right away. Is they're just like, I just need to make sure that I don't get burnt here, which is fine. A lot of people are in that situation. Let's say Jim comes out to the next event, and he's there on Saturday. I'm going to try to introduce Jim to a couple people. I'm not going to take Jim around and try to convince him to everybody, but I want to introduce him to the main people. The main people. I want to get a picture. I want to just introduce him to a couple, but not everybody. And I evaluate when I'm in groups, is this a person that's going to need an introduction every time, or is this person going to be kind of independent on their own? They're going to be okay by themselves. Because some people need that personal introduction because they're more introverted, and some people are more extroverted and they're like, oh, I've already met that person. Thanks. Oh, okay. Well, I don't need to do my job anymore. It gives me an idea. So, again, you want to look for people who are able to think for themselves, who are able to entertain themselves, who are able to make connections without you, because then the business really isn't dependent upon you. It's dependent upon the system and the group that's built. And that makes it much more secure, because if it's 100% dependent on you, that makes it a lot harder. Right? So from there, Jim's like, I'm ready. Okay, cool. Do you want to fill out the paperwork here and we can put you in the computer, or do you want to sit down? Because the next step is really to do a game plan for you. Tell me, you're ready to get started. What do you want to do? Again, I'm giving options. He's like, nope, makes sense. I'll get in now and let's set that time. We set that time, whether that's over the phone or ready to go. What am I going to do? This is where I see a lot of people, they destroy themselves. Because instead of saying, hey, we just need to get this in front of 10 people real fast, my goal initially is just to make you familiar with a couple things that are going on. You can do all your research. I don't need to tell you everything. You can go learn it yourself. Here's how to get started. There's probably a video about getting started in every company that exists. If there isn't a video on getting started, there's a PDF on getting started. If there isn't both of those, there's somebody in the upline that you can introduce them to that can talk about the simple ways to get started. But here's what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't sit down and watch everything in the back office, and I wouldn't read every documentation piece of paper, and I wouldn't sit down with Jim and try to regurgitate that in 4 to 6 hours. But if I could, I'll raise both hands, because I've been guilty of that inside of a business. Sitting people down and telling them way too much and not focusing on the main thing, which is getting them started, right? I destroy them by giving them way too much information that is irrelevant to actually helping them make a check. Massive overload. We call it information overload or paralysis by analysis because we give them way too much information. You know what the best possible situation you can be in? The best possible situation you can be in is say this, hey, I just followed what they said and I got paid. And if you'll do that, you'll get paid. Now, if you sit back and you want to read every book and every text message and every email, you'll still be broke a year from now. You'll still be researching a year from now. Think about it, the best possible situation you can tell people is, man, I just got started and I got this in front of 10 people and 10 people were like, yeah, that makes sense. And a couple people bought it and here's the check I got. That's best case scenario. That's the best thing you could teach a team. Why? Because that testimonial is strong to move to the next person, to move to the next person. It moves your business fast. But watch this. I found this from my friend Tim. He says, if you take a week or two for you to research it, for you to think about it, for you to contemplate it, for you to information overload on it, and you take a week, then your next person takes 2 weeks, then your next person takes 4 weeks, then your next person takes 8 or 12 or 15, you have a weak business. You don't want a weak business. You want a business that's moving. So with that being said, Jim gets in, we can get Jim his first check. We can get Jim at the end of the event. Watch this. At the end of the event, not only would I ask him to get started, what I'm really looking for is a commitment. Hey, Jim, they happen to be selling tickets to the next event. At this point, are you getting a ticket? I'm getting a ticket. I already know I'm getting a ticket. Are you getting a ticket? Is he going to put money down to be at the next event? Or are you one of those people where it's like, well, I'm going to look at my schedule. I'm going to see what I'm doing. I'm going to see if it's convenient. This really isn't something I'm really looking to do. You just said that you want to make enough money to bring your spouse home from work. You just said you wanted to make enough money to replace your job. You just said you wanted to make enough money. Like, that's what I'm looking for. People say they want to do this stuff. What is their commitment level after that? Oh, I want to lose weight. I looked at the gym, but I didn't go inside. I went inside, but I didn't sign up. I signed up, but I never scheduled an appointment to go. I mean, this is funny, but I know people who planned on losing weight, and watch this, they went to the gym and they got a gym membership, right? And they're like, well, I'm still not convinced, so I need to get ready because, like, the clothes I have, I can't work out. So they went and bought new shoes. Then they went and bought new pants. Then they went and bought new tops. Then they went and bought, hat and coat and gloves and scarf because during wintertime, you need different stuff to go to the gym. It was summertime, by the way, when they bought all that, but it was on sale. And then they tried to reroute their schedule, and they went to the grocery store, and they bought bananas instead of cookies, and they bought all this stuff. But, they were busy, so they went out to eat on the way home. And to date, they've never walked in the gym. But they bought workout gloves because workout gloves were on sale last week. They've had a gym membership for 6 weeks, never walked in. They have shoes, hats, scarves, gloves, coats, pants, everything. And if you're laughing right now, it's okay. People do this all the time in different things. Just make sure you are conscious of what people are doing inside of your business. And a leader is someone who gets someone to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done if the leader wasn't there. Right? Jim, you told me, I'll joke with him. I'm like, hey, man, you told me you really wanted to do this, right? After the people you just saw and what you just saw, does it make sense to get your ticket? Like, I'm going to be shaking my head. Doesn't it make sense to get that ticket right now? And if he gives me a story, I'm going to relate to him. I'll listen to him, and I'll hear him out. And depending on how well I know him, I'll ask. I'll be like, is it a money thing, or is it you're just not serious? See, when you start asking and people are like, oh my gosh, that's so forward. Some of you are so worried about being nice, so worried about being liked, you're not leading and building your business. Your goal in this is not to be liked. If you want to be liked, go sell ice cream. If you want to make money and be in business, you got to ask some of the harder questions. But most people don't like being confrontational. Or, watch this, or if you are going to be confrontational, you don't have enough rapport in the relationship, and you do it at the wrong time with the wrong tone of voice. When I ask that, I'll jokingly say it. And I'm also probably going to compliment, and then I'll ask that question, then I'll compliment again. I'll be like, Jim, you told me you wanted to do this, and I see that you have the potential to do this and knock this out of the park. Is it really the money, or is it just you're not serious? Like, what's going on? Tell me the truth. I might actually start out and be like, hey, can we have a serious conversation? I just need to, know where you're at here. If he's like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it right now. I've got this. I'd be like, all right, no problem. I said, well, I already fronted you one of the tickets before. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll buy an extra one, and you have 1 week to get it from me. I'm going to buy an extra one at the discounted cost. You have 1 week to get it from me. It just depends. Like that. See, that's faith in a person, because Jim might have come, and I don't know Jim's situation, but, we see a lot of people, and it's weird. Like, most people won't meet you and invest in you right away. But when somebody says, I see great things for you, and then they're willing, I mean, guys, it would be $15. Now, it might be your $15. It might be $15 that means a lot of money, because if you're on a fixed budget or you don't have a lot of money, you're like, damn, I don't even have enough money to buy my own ticket, which is a problem. You need to get into a situation where you can get your own tickets every time up front. But to be able to invest and buy something, that's how you influence a lot of people. That's how you influence a lot of people. And watch this. Somebody else will see me do that. And I've had people walk up, well, why didn't you buy my ticket? I said, because you know better. Because you know better. You know, this isn't charity. This isn't handouts. I'm investing in a new person just like you should be investing in a new person. But if you've been in a year and you're looking for a handout, that tells me you've sat here and learned nothing. That's a problem. So I do this with Jim. Jim comes out to the next event. He buys his ticket. He comes out to the next event. Now we're in September. I know that in October there's an event. So somewhere at the end of August, in between August and September, I'm going to be talking to Jim about convention. Hey, Jim, how serious are you? You know, I know that a bunch of us are going. I want to give you plenty of time. Clear the time. Hey, first of all, I want you to know about it. Do you know about it? The next time, I up the ante each time I talk about it. Hey, do you know about it? No, I didn't even know. Okay, well, here's the event. Here's when it is. It's just a weekend. And sometimes I won't even say where it is. I'll let them ask, well, where is it? I was like, oh, my gosh, it's at this place. Have you ever been there? No, I said, well, you know, if I'd been there before, I'll tell them, you know, the experience. Oh, well, I've been there before, and, you know, it has this amazing downtown, and it has this cool place that we can go. And I start building in all the stuff we're going to do around the event itself. Because here's the thing. People don't like going anywhere that they don't know what's going to happen. But when I start saying, here's what's going to happen, and the more, watch, it's actually a visualization thing. Like, if I told you guys, hey, if you're coming to Indianapolis on the 10th, Friday night, we're going out to dinner at the Cheesecake Factory, people are like, oh my gosh, I like cheesecake, that's awesome. And some of you have been to the Cheesecake Factory before, so now it's familiar. I said on Friday we're going to get up, or Saturday we're going to get up and we're going to do some stuff, and we'll probably meet and, you know, grab lunch together, and then we'll make some phone calls, and then the event will start, and we'll do this event, and then afterwards, you know, if the event happened to be in Indianapolis, you know, and then that night we're going to get together for a huge pizza party. You're going to be able to meet a group of people, and then we're going to go out, you know, around the town. I'll show you the canal. I'll show you downtown. The largest Christmas tree in the world actually happens to be downtown Indianapolis. It's actually not even a tree. It's just a monument that they hook up with lights, but it's really cool. Even though you've never been to Indianapolis, a lot of you, because I'm describing it, you're starting to visualize it, and if you can get people to start visualizing a trip, they're much more likely to go because they can see themselves there. Isn't that weird? Instead of saying, aren't you coming to the convention? The ticket's $149. I don't know what the ticket is. It doesn't matter what the ticket is. I mean, but you have to say. So what I do is I build the vision of what we're going to do. Then I talk about the ticket. Do you have the ticket? That's the first thing that I'm going to get them to commit to. Do you have a ticket? No. You know, are you serious? Yeah. I said, then go get a ticket and tell me when you get one. Tell me when you got your ticket to the next convention. I want to know. Now, here's the thing that most people don't know. I probably already know. At least, I don't know about your company, but most companies today will actually have a back office and show you who has tickets on your team to the next event. So I can actually look that up. You could probably call corporate and find out, unless it's like a paper ticket. Most tickets now are all electronic. They track all that stuff. So most companies, they've already got that information. But I can look. When somebody tells me they have their ticket, I usually already know. I'll act surprised anyway. I'll act surprised anyway. I'm also going to be, that's awesome. I can't wait to see you there. The next thing I'm going to look at is transportation. Transportation is the second most important thing because obviously if you have to fly somewhere, the closer you get to the date, the more expensive. I want people to knock that out as soon as possible. Then I'm going to talk about lodging. Where are you staying? I don't know. Well, I might be able to provide you some places that I've researched, that I've looked at, that my team is staying at. That way you can stay close to us, and then if we're walking wherever we have to go, we can go together. We can go grab food before. We can go grab food after. Everything focuses around food, right, Jim? Let's go get a drink. Let's go get coffee. Because here's the thing. You build relationships with people you grab food with. You do. The law of influence says you have a much greater chance of influencing somebody that you've broken bread with. That's one of the rules. So what I did is I got used to going to places and hanging out with people and doing that. Now, Jim, if we've got the ticket and we've got the date and we clear the time, what are some other problems that come up? I don't have the money. Is there something that can be sold? Is there something that can be changed? Probably the number one thing is not the money usually, because people can actually find that. The number one thing is fear, because most people don't travel. Most people don't travel. Most people don't go anywhere. Most people live desperate lives, or hopeless lives of desperation, of, woe is me. And they like their sameness. They like staying in the same location with the same people, with the same drama, and leaving and going somewhere else. Your basic human instinct wants to keep you in a comfort zone where nothing ever changes. That's why we all go to the same restaurants. That's why we all order the same food. But as much as you want to stay in that, your second basic human need outside of keeping everything the same is variety. The reason you get bored, the reason you create problems with yourself instead of setting goals, goals actually fulfills the second basic human need, which is the need for variety. But also travel can do that too. That's why most people spend 90% of their time working, and then they'll go travel somewhere really exotic and then talk about that the rest of the year. Because that's their variety. From a psychological standpoint. But again, we're talking about levels of influence. Did you know that not everybody will take that entire trip all the way up to convention? In fact, most people won't. You'll get a lot of people that you won't even be able to get on the phone with. You'll get a lot of people you get on the phone with that you won't be able to take past the presentation. The presentation is as far as you get, and the rest of the time you'll never get them to speak to anybody else, and they'll never watch another thing. But if you can get past that and get them to watch something, now the odds are going up. The odds are going up that you can move them. The farther up you move them, the more likely you can move them to the top. Just the way it is. But here's the thing. If you don't know the path, how are you leading anybody else on it? You can actually, and this is something that, I'm putting together kind of a notebook for our team, but I'll probably put a generic one together for you guys, is what if you had that list with every single person you recruited and say, where's this person at on the law of influence and the law of moving through this? Have I contacted them? Yes, obviously, if they're on your team. Have I presented to them? Yes. Have they been to an open house? Have they been on a third-party call? Have they been through training of some kind to get them started? Have they been to a open house? Have they been to a training of some kind? Have they been to a regional? Have they been to a convention? Have they been paid and promoted? What if all that was on a list and you just started checking off things? And you had that with every single person. I want to get them on a call like this. I want to get them on a call like this or a training like this as soon as possible. Because that's one more thing I can check off. How consistent are they? Are they showing up regularly? We used to track people for 30 days. We had something called a Focus 30 list. We would grab 30 new people every month and try to walk them through that process. Now, I was with a group of people that the average person there had at least 1,000 people on their team. I'm guessing more like 3,000. But I was part of a special group where every month we would take 30 people and try to walk them through that process. That was our goal. That was our mission, is to take the bottom of the organization, the newest people, and walk them through. And at the end of 30 days, basically say, hey, I'm going to teach this to you, and here's a new 30. That is a higher level teaching, because if you wonder, oh my gosh, is it always going to be the same? Are we always going to talk about the same stuff? There's new stuff that you don't know about, and there's no point in even teaching it to you right now, because it's not useful until you have a big enough team. But there is another level of leadership that you don't know about if you don't have 1,000 people on your team yet. But if you don't get this first stuff down, you will never have 1,000 people on your team. So with that, I've already talked too long. I am going to turn this over to Bess for some of her insights. And we'll be back in a second. Hold on. Bess, you there?
Yep. Thank you. That was really good. Boy, my favorite takeaway of all was the visualization. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Was the visualization, helping people become familiar and then helping them to see themselves there. I like that a lot. I hadn't really thought of that, or, consciously thought of that or done that way. And Jeff got me to an event. I was a speaker at an event. My dog just died. Blizzards, bad travel, plane delays, all this stuff. I was thinking, should I go out? Should I go out to Indiana and should I follow through the speaking, or should I do it online? By a distance, a remote, I'll say. And so Jeff and Brandy are saying it's really important that you be here. And what got me was when Jeff messaged, if you need to drive out, because I like to drive because I like to bring my juicer, my food, and all this stuff, my coolers and food and all this stuff. Kind of a stickler for health foods. He goes, well, maybe we can fly out there and drive you in, which would have been hazardous with the icy roads and all that stuff. Anyway, I said, shoot, if it means that much to them that I'm there, that they're willing to fly out and drive me in, I'll just fly in, forget it. So actually I did, and there was no delays with the plane. It was smooth sailing, but a lot of other planes got delayed. People got delayed by days and all this stuff. But he got me there. It's one of my difficult times. And it is more expensive the day before to get your ticket, like 50% more or double more or something like that. But through all those obstacles, through the expense, the weather, the shock I was in with my companion, my 15-year-old companion, best friend, passing away, all of that stuff, all those obstacles, I still got there. And it said that of your company conventions, if you can't afford to go, you can't afford not to go. So we know that really is, don't we, Jeff, that money is never the reason. It's really people's seriousness, because they can find it, borrow it, make it, sell it. There's money is never the reason. People can always get the money. But if you can't afford to go, you need to go more than anybody. You can't afford not to go to that convention. And the reason that when people have had breakthroughs in their life, a lot of times it has been at an event, at a destination event, whether it's Tony Robbins or anything, but even a network marketing convention. Eric Worre speaks about this too. He says he's had several huge turnaround breakthroughs, turning points in his life, and it was when he was they were always when he was at a convention. And why is that? Well, one reason is because we are out of our routines. We're away from home. We're away from our familiar duties and things we have to do. But when we go somewhere, it's like we have new eyes, and we are more likely to be able to have a shift, a change, a transformation, not only with the information, but with the commitment. I had one at Eric Worre's GoPro event when I realized to what depth I want to become a teacher of network marketers, bringing new and innovative methods that really, I don't even know what they are yet, but I just know there's going to be some really cool things that will really shift and move people forward. That was actually before Jeff and I began teaching. That was probably 6 months before we got together, or we knew each other, but to really begin talking and realizing that, hey, we're going to be working together. So I think, Jeff, you are part of that breakthrough that I had at Eric Worre's GoPro event. This just deep thing moved me, and it was a deep commitment to becoming the best network marketing teacher that I could, because I love network marketers. I'm not one generic coach at this point. I mean, I was one, but now, and from moving forward, I'm a committed generic coach, working on that mindset part and the big breakthroughs. But this deep thing just moved me. I don't know that I would have had that same experience sitting at home or listening to the live replay. I might have of Eric's, but there's just something about being there. The effort that you put out, the expense, I think makes us, the effort, time, and energy, and details, and all the stuff, and getting there and losing some sleep or whatever, making all the arrangements, even difficult ones, overcoming obstacles. We get there, and we're more likely to get something from it because we have invested ourselves. We have skin in the game. We put effort. Think, well, I'm going to get something out of this because it cost me a lot to get here. You know, the time and energy and effort and all that stuff and the money. You know, it cost me something to get here. So we're more likely to get out of something when we put something in. So that's another reason that I think. There's another reason, too, and that's the combined energy, like the collective consciousness. I was at a building, and it was actually a spiritual temple in Chanhassen, Minnesota one time, and I talked with one of the caretakers of that, and she goes, when there's a seminar on, the energy is multiplied many, many times, the consciousness here of the combined collective consciousness of these people. And you spiritually get something from that. You know, you gain from that. And I think it's like that. I mean, I know it's like that with at any event. It sort of exponentially multiplies the effect of all the people and all the consciousness and the powerful ways that it can move you and change you. Actually, I have a story about a network marketer going to a convention, and she was actually in her 4th year of her network marketing business, or direct sales, she called it, and so she planned to finally at last go to that organization's annual convention. But this year she decided, or maybe she had gone before, but this time she decided to take her mom along. So they got there, and they saw that there was like one seat near the front, which she was the marketer, so she took that seat, and then her mom and another guest took a seat further back. And it turned out that the speaker at that time was starting to describe a woman who lived her life on the edge, and she was raising 3 children. She loved to garden, and she still built her business anyway. And when this lady, I'll call her Cindy, when she was listening to all this, she goes, wow, I can't wait to meet that woman. It sounds like we have so much in common. Well, it was her she was describing. And so she gave her an award, and she said that just floored her. But what floored her even more at this convention was that her mother stepped out from the back and began to speak about her. And nothing was more out of character for this introverted woman than to have her, to see her mother, you know, come up and speak about her. And it was all about what, you know, all sorts of good things about her. But she said it from her heart, and she said it touched everybody, and she did not see one dry eye in the room. And by the end of the seminar, everybody was calling her mom, and they were just enthralled with them. And her mother was completely enthralled with the company's vision statement to stimulate a better quality of life. It was real, real simple. So her mother had grown up with not a lot of money, and she knew that for some of these people who had gotten to the convention, that they had really sacrificed to get there and to buy the starter kits and buy their network marketing, to get involved in the business. And actually, these people actually stimulated her mother. Her mother didn't join or anything. You might be wondering, is she going to join? But actually, these people who had sacrificed and kept their vision, kept their goals, stimulated her mother to remember her big dream she was a seamstress, and she had this big dream of owning a large sewing room for her tailoring business, which she did in addition to her full-time job. But going to this convention gave her mother the vision of what was possible. She felt loved by all these people who called her mom, and she felt heard, you know, what she had spoken about her daughter. And she was just on top of the world when she left this convention. And she said when she left all these excited people, she realized that many will go to great lengths to realize her dream, which are off limits to no one. So she used that energy to change her life. A week after she arrived home, she went to her local bank and got a loan for her house addition, and now she owns a thriving business with her sister, with this lady's sister, selling products they create together in the sewing room. She's and the lady too, Cindy, she went on to become very successful too. But she realized how important the environment of a convention could be. Surprising stuff happens, right? And the mom didn't get in. Sometimes people have brought a guest, and they do get in a lot of times. So it's okay to bring a friend or family member or a brand new person and let that convention do the work for them. I put a note in the MLM Millionaire Club Facebook group asking who has had a turning point or who has gone to who went to their last company convention, and what kind of what did it do for you? You know, what benefit did you get? How were you different because of it? And Ann Zuccardi wrote this. She said, I returned from mine last year with a lot more knowledge of the products I sell. I also came back with a step-by-step plan and a lot of enthusiasm. Company events are great, but if you don't implement what you learned immediately upon returning, the knowledge and enthusiasm can go to waste. So that stimulated me to encourage people, encourage you each to plan the week after you get back from the convention. Try to clear your schedule and use that week, plan to use that week to implement what you learned, because I'm guessing that if you don't do it within that week, you'll have about a 1% chance of doing it later on. So see how quickly you can implement and put into your schedule the things that you learned there. Also, tell your team right away. Give them a report what you learned. Take really good notes there. In fact, if you know that you're going to be teaching your team what you learned, you're going to get more out of it because you're going to take better notes. So bring this back to your team, the reports, the updates, and give them photos. Tell them your experience. Tell them how it changed you, them and afterward, and let them know how you are implementing what you just learned, and invite them to join you to do it too. This is where you can use your Facebook group. You should have a team Facebook group for people to interact and news and to know each other and all that and be in communication with them. This is where you can use that Facebook group for accountability. You can, just like we do in the MLM Millionaire Club Facebook group, you can invite them to put a post what they intend to do, like how many presentations they plan to do a day, or whatever their action step is they're going to put into action. And then underneath that, they can be accountable by reporting what they actually did. One way to get people to be accountable is say, go out and do this and come back and tell me when you did it, just like Jeff did about the ticket. You know, that otherwise you don't know, and they know that you might not even know. So you can say, you know, go do this and come back and tell me when it's done. You can do that same thing on the Facebook group. You know, they can put a post and they can say, I will commit to do 2 presentations a day, and then they can get back onto that same post that they wrote, and in the comments each day they can put a date and they can put how many presentations they did that day. Each time they comment, it moves that post up to the top so it will become visible. And it's a way to help them to be accountable to themselves, you, and the group, and it's a way for the group to get inspired about that too. So that's one way to implement an action step that you bring back from the seminar, and encourage your team to do that too. That would be a good time to do a challenge and say, let's all do 2 presentations a day, or let's all do 5 presentations a day for the next week, month, or 2 months, or whatever. it can be an audacious one. Five a day would be pretty good and pretty active. But they can also set their own according to what they feel they can do in their lives with time and all that. I'd like to tell you about the first company convention I ever went to. My company was a nutrition one. The headquarters are in San Diego. That's one reason I moved there, was to be near the company headquarters. And the first one I went to, though, I was an introvert, a very shy person, and I dressed up and went and all that, but I just felt like I didn't belong there. It was really a weird feeling, and it could have kept me from coming back. Now I love to go to events and conventions like Eric Worre's GoPro events and all that stuff, and I just adore it, and I love the people there, and I connect easily, and love meeting people live that I've met online, have Facebook friends that I got to meet there, or we make plans to meet there and make sure that we meet physically, and it's great to hug them or shake their hands and meet them live. But I had to do a lot of personal growth work between that first convention and my last GoPro event. Basically, I felt that in life, like I didn't belong. It was self-esteem, it was shyness. I felt like I might be criticized or judged, or I just didn't belong like everybody else did. I didn't fit in. I didn't know why, but I just felt like there was some self-esteem thing that I just didn't have what other people had. I didn't belong like they did. I was different than them. I always did the alternative thing. I was an artist type, a sensitive type, a right brain type, and just had different values, more spiritual values than most people. So I had to do a lot of work on self-esteem, and I just listened to Brene Brown today speak about vulnerability, and she says that human connections are so important to people. That is really why we're happy in life. And some people go to these events to connect, but some people might stay away from them. Maybe this could be you, or maybe it could be even your team. And some people stay away from the events because they don't know how to connect or don't know how to belong. That's where it's real important, like Jeff said, to kind of read that person's personality and see if you can introduce them to a few key people. Not your job to be a therapist. That's the job of the Real Conversations class that I'm doing on Tuesday nights. If I didn't mention, that's happening on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. and it will begin August 5th. So that's my job as a therapist, as a coach, facilitating these private or individual or group classes like this. So that's not your job, but you could refer somebody like this. But basically, how they get there to being comfortable with other people is realizing that each of us is imperfect, but we're worthy of belonging. But we're worthy of love, and we're worthy of belonging. A lot of people didn't get this when they were growing up, and so it might be a foreign idea or something that they have to grow into. Going to these events or conventions, or starting out with working on your team, working up to a weekly presentation, or bigger, an open house, or bigger events can help ease them into this and get them used to people. But we need to realize that we are imperfect, but worthy of love and belonging, and to believe that we are enough. This can be a big job sometimes. So that could be a reason, besides the person might be serious, but they just might be scared. So that's a psychological reason that they might not attend. And getting their why, of course, and reminding them of their why, like you heard Jeff say, well, you said you wanted to, be home with your kids. You said you wanted to retire your husband. You said you wanted to be able to have financial freedom or travel. Were you serious about that, or were you just kidding around? So then the person gets to face themselves and look that block straight in the face. And it said that a mentor is not always someone who makes you comfortable. but it is someone who cares about your best interest and can bring these things up to you and let you face them. That's what I have for tonight. We can open the line because we would like to hear from you now, or we will turn off the recording. But first, I ought to say that next time is number 10, core commitment, which is have a monthly massive action plan. Anything else, Jeff, before we turn off the recording?
No, I think that's it for the actual training part. Now we're going to do greatest takeaways and any questions. We'll do takeaways first, but first we will turn off the recording. Thank you so much for joining us if you're watching the replay. And Bess, go ahead.
Could I just ask you a question first?
Sure.
You know, just kind of digging in or even confronting people a little bit. When you said, you know, the question you ask people is this a money thing, or are you just not serious? We know it's never a money thing, right?
Actually, sometimes it is. I mean, you know, sometimes people are in situations where I found that a lot of people are terrible money managers. Like, I was a terrible money manager. Like, I physically sometimes at an event did not have the money for the ticket. Like, and I had screwed up my credit, so there was no credit card. So unless I was physically going to steal the ticket or the money, like, I did not have the money. So, you know, I just asked people, you know, is it a money thing or is there something else? So sometimes it is a money thing when you're sitting at an event to buy a ticket to the next event. You can't do it right then. If somebody says, well, I just don't have the money ever, well, when will you have the money? That's a different question.
Because we know that you could sell something, you could mow lawns, you could, you know, wash windows. We know that people can always get the money.
Right.
So it's always, and always another issue. Like, it might be a belief. I think it's a belief in themselves always, because, or else it's in network marketing, or it's in a belief in network marketing, belief in your company, and it can't be really. And I mean, that's not a valid just belief in network marketing, because there's so many top earners and multimillionaires and all that. I mean, the profession itself has already proven itself that it works. And your company, if there are 6-7-figure earners in your company, then that's proven that your company works. So it really isn't about network marketing or your company. It comes down to themselves. You know, can I do it? What are some of the other blocks? Yeah, three mindset blocks. I don't think I can do this, or people like me aren't good at this, or I don't really want to do it. You know, I think I should, or I should have to, or something like that. But in other words, their why isn't great enough to move them, or their self-esteem. I think either one. So believing in themselves, that could be a process too. And again, it's not your job to do that, but you could tell stories of people just like them who have done it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, with that, we are turning.